type that you find in a browser when you go surf the web.
Are you saying your attempt to understand the fundamental operations of nature leads you to a set of equations that are indistinguishable from the equations that drive search engines and browsers on our computers?
That is correct. They don't look like codes, but these pictures, which we call adinkras, are graphical representations of sets of equations that are...
Welcome back with another banger. It's the React Files, where we react
to the creepiest, craziest, scariest TikToks. You shouldn't watch alone.
I hope you're having a good night. And if you haven't already, please take a second just to smash that like, subscribe, ring that notification bell, just to make sure the algorithm knows what's up. So what we gonna do, y'all? That's right. Run these numbers up. Let's get straight to it.
So did you guys know that Gypsy Rose is getting out of jail on December 28th of this year in 2023? Now, she went to jail for having a part in unaliving her mother, Claudine, also known as Dee Dee. She was arrested in 2015 and went to jail in 2018. It has since come out that her mother had Munchausen's syndrome, which is probably why Gypsy is now about to be a free woman. But what Gypsy went through, who she was in prison, and who she is now is quite the stark difference. Let's get into it. So Gypsy Rose is now 28 years old. She pled guilty to second-degree unaliving of her mother, who is said to have suffered from Munchausen syndrome by proxy. Now, her ex-boyfriend, Nick, is a different story, but we'll get into that later. Now, there's been all kinds of documentaries and shows and movies. This one was an HBO documentary. This is a mini-series on Hulu, which I find this to be the best one. And there's also a Lifetime movie. Now, we're kind of going to follow the timeline of the act, which picks up in 2009, 3 years before Dee Dee's unaliving. Now, around this time, Habitat and Humanity built Dee Dee and Gypsy a home. It was in Springfield, Missouri. They had originally lost their home to Hurricane Katrina. Now, Dee Dee made sure to keep Gypsy in a childlike state most of the time. She even gave her the wrong birthday so that she didn't know quite how old she was. She made her believe that she was sick. She kept her head shaved. She would visit multiple doctors to get what she wanted when it came to treatment. She had a tube put in Gypsy's stomach so that she had to eat mostly by feeding tube. She had all of her teeth pulled. She made her think that she was allergic and would die if she ate sugar. And the way that Dee Dee kept them afloat was that she would enter them in contests. She would keep them involved in community things, really touching on and making a spectacle of Gypsy Rose's ailments. This would have people writing notes, sending money, helping her win contests, so they had experiences of a lifetime. And Dee Dee kept this going for years. And any time that Gypsy Rose would seemingly want to try to have any kind of defiance, Dee Dee would always find a way to manipulate her, making her feel bad and telling her how much she needed her and keeping her in that wheelchair and in the sick place that she needed, basically. Now, like I said, this went on for years, but there actually apparently came a doctor that really started looking into them. She didn't believe that Gypsy needed the feeding tube all the time, and she could catch on to some issues from Dee Dee and how she just seemed to want to keep her sick. So then came a report to CPS. Now, I'm not entirely sure if this part is completely factual, but in the show, The Act, Dee Dee shoved all kinds of muscle relaxer type of pills down Gypsy's throat. This would keep Gypsy in a more controlled state during questioning from the CPS officer. Now, the thing is that Dee Dee thought that she was keeping Gypsy in a childlike state, but Gypsy was still growing up in her mind. And so at nighttime, she would sneak on the computer and she would seek out life experiences and information that she was missing at home. This is also when she would sneak sweets and food that she wasn't allowed to have via oral route when her mother was awake. This is also how she ended up meeting her boyfriend. And believe it or not, it was through a Christian dating site. Now, these two met on a Christian dating site in 2012. Late at night, they would convene with their late night talks that got really racy, by the way. The two conjured up a plan to finally meet. Gypsy got her mom to take her to a movie theater, and he was supposed to show up and just kind of bump into them and make a good impression on the mom. It didn't really happen. They didn't get to sit together in the movie theater. But Gypsy snuck off to the bathroom, and so did he. And this is when they had their first actual encounter. Again, when they were leaving the theater, he tried to impress the mom, who was only more turned off by him. And the two knew that they were not going to be able to spend time together in front of Gypsy's mom. So they continued their late night chats. And through these late night chats, it would come up how Gypsy felt like she was kind of just trapped. Nick wanted to help her get out. So he comes up with this plan of unaliving Dee Dee. Now, ultimately, Nick made it look like it was a break-in, and he ended up stabbing Dee Dee multiple times in her bed as she lay sleeping. Now, Nick and Gypsy fled the scene, and they were on the run for 5 days. They definitely were no smooth criminals. They were on surveillance cameras at gas stations. You could track their Gray House bus ticket. They stayed at a hotel together. And in subsequent interviews from Nick, by the way, he says that those were the best 5 days of his entire existence. In fact, it was even Gypsy's bizarre Facebook post on June 13 of 2015 that said the bee is dead. That really tipped people off. Now, as I said before, Gypsy pled to second-degree unaliving and 10 years, and Nick got sentenced to life in prison. But neither of their stories stopped there. But this is way too long, so you're going to have to go to part 2 to see what she did while she was in prison, what happened to her, and where it leads to now.
Yeah, that's a new one right there. I never heard of Gypsy Rose until about a few days ago. Story sounds very intense. I think I find it crazy how the mother didn't like the boy when she first met him. And they talked for 3 years before meeting. Man, it sounds like a lot of time went into that. I wonder how she's doing. I wonder what's going to be in part 2. I wonder how she survived in lockdown. Let me know in the comments down below. Are y'all familiar with this story?
How long have you been here now?
About a year and a half.
Okay. So how's life here now? What's day in the life like for you?
It's not so bad. I go to school. I have a job.
What's your job?
My job is working on my housing unit, janitorial services.
Uh-huh.
So I clean. I go to school in the morning. I love going to the library.
The administration here, they seem really dedicated to keeping the women here safe and to helping them really rehabilitate and better themselves.
They offer free education, and especially for someone like me that came here with a second-grade education, never been to real school. I'm very close to getting my GED.
And you have family support.
I do. I do. My father, he has some guilt, and I try and tell him, don't feel guilty, because you're in my life now. You're here now, and that's what's important to me.
Gypsy, thanks so much for talking to me, okay?
Thank you so much, Dr.
All right.
Phil.
Okay, guys, so we are back with part 2 of the Gypsy Rose series. If you want to find out what led up to her jail sentence and why she's getting out in 3 days, go back to part 1. It should be the video right before this one. I told you guys the story that landed her behind bars, as well as her boyfriend at the time, Nick Gojon. But now let's talk about what happened since she's been in jail. Now, as we discussed, for taking part in unaliving her mother, Dee Dee, she pled guilty to second-degree unaliving in 2016. She was sentenced to 10 years, where she is in the Correctional Center for Missouri, which meant that she would be eligible to get out in 2026, but actually eligible for parole in 2024. Well, guess what? She got parole December 28th, 2023. Gypsy Rose will be a free woman. Now, you're probably wondering, did these two ever keep in contact? Where are they now in regards to each other? Well, let's first remember that Nick was sentenced to life in prison without parole. And he is quoted as saying that he did what he did because he loved Gypsy. He really wanted a life with her. Now, he has had interviews since then, And in some of those interviews, he has said things like this: "From the beginning, I just knew we were soulmates. I was going to get a job, start looking for an apartment after a little ways down the road. I'd probably end up marrying her, have children with her. That's something I never had with someone else. I never ever had it. To this day, she's the only one I've ever had it with." Now, when asked what he thinks about their differing sentences, he says, "I did feel that she was not taking responsibility for her actions, but at the same time, due to the way I know she was raised, I can't blame her." Now, Gypsy made it clear that she had no more romantic feelings for Nick in plenty of interviews. She says of him, "Now, I don't hate him. I feel sorry for him. He's very much like my mother in certain ways. Both of them were very controlling, and I feel like I was trained my whole life to do as I was told." Now, apparently, she did consider herself still in love with him for a while. As she said, if you would have asked me this 2 years ago, I would have said I'm still in love with him. But here's where things get a little wild. Now, since being behind bars, Gypsy Rose has grown really close to her father and her stepmother. And in 2019, Gypsy Rose met a pen pal who became her fiance. Apparently, he watched a documentary, he felt bad for her, and he wrote her. The two conjured up a relationship, and bada bing, bada boom, they got engaged. But that's actually not where everything sits now. But as of June 27th of 2022, Gypsy Rose is now a married woman. She is married to Ryan Scott Anderson of Lake Charles, Louisiana. It is unclear how the two met or what he does for a living. And speaking of being married to Ryan, there's one last little story to squeeze in here. Since Gypsy has been married, apparently she had somebody reach out to her. Apparently Josh Cedar, I'm not sure how you say his name, from The Bachelorette, wrote her an email, and she wasn't too happy about it. She slammed him basically, and she said, "I don't know who you are or why you chose me to try and find your 15 minutes of fame, but I have friends everywhere, and I know what lies you've told online." She goes on to say, "I'm a married woman. My husband's name is Ryan Anderson, and we do not appreciate crazy people like you spreading lies." So what happened is apparently Josh emailed Gypsy and said that he wanted to get to know her. And this pissed her off because she was like, "I'm a married woman. You are just a player." In fact, in her words, she said, "I may look cute, but I have a smart ass mouth and I'm not afraid to tell you to go fuck yourself." Now, Gypsy Rose blasted him on Instagram, and so he publicly responded. And he actually said, "I am heartbroken that things didn't work out between me and Gypsy, but I will not give up on finding love." So he admits that he was actually trying to slide on in. And I guess it kind of fits his MO, because apparently he's previously dated the 90 Days fiance before the 90 Days alum, Yolanda, after lockup star Lizzie and Glorietta, and then the 90 Day fiance star Karini. So now you guys have come full circle of the story of Gypsy Rose with Dee Dee Blanchard and how she had to grow up from this little girl who actually was a grown woman, where we picked up our story, but was forced into living this fraudulent life for Dee Dee, into a now grown woman who is married, and she's going to be released from jail December 28th of 2023, and I guess just finally starting her life. What do you guys think? Let's talk about it in the comments.
I'm very happy that she's free and that she's able to have a second chance on life, that she found love. Sometimes it's a very hard thing to do when you're in that situation after all you went through with something like that. That's crazy. But yeah, Shirty knew Buddy was looking for 15 minutes of fame. Shit, that was back in April.
There's a hidden QR code in the Netflix movie Leave the World Behind. Where does it lead? Leave the World Behind is rocking the charts, hanging out comfortably in the top 10 on Netflix. Now, if you have been watching closely, you might have noticed some connections to Mr. Robot in the movie. And guess what? A few sharp-eyed viewers also found a QR code on the map. Hold on to your hats because it gets more interesting. People over on Reddit, being the clever detectives they are, managed to make that QR code scannable. And guess what it revealed? It seems to point to where Kentucky is on the map. I know, pretty weird, right? But the big question is, what happens when you scan it? It takes you to a website, and then it immediately jumps to another website. But here's the kicker. This second site doesn't seem to have anything to do with the movie story. Strange, right? So my friends, here's the $1 million question. What's the deal with this digital journey? Any theories? We want to hear your thoughts, so drop a comment below and let's get a conversation going. If you enjoyed this little adventure, Don't forget to like and follow for more of these type of videos. Stay tuned. Who knows what other surprises are lurking in the world of movies. Until next time.
Shout outs to Perky. Good to see her again. But yeah, with that whole digital journey, there's a lot that goes into that. A lot of history. I heard that it was built over some ancient burial ground. Gotta get more into it. But why would that be in the movie? That part. What do y'all think? Let me know down below.
So a lot of you saw my last video about the movie Leave the World Behind, and I said it had a lot of demonic symbolism. So we went and found more. Like on the emergency TV broadcast, the map of the United States has a hidden QR code. My phone camera couldn't really read it though because it was so blurry. And the screen in the hidden bunker had numbers on the screen that looked like they were spelling die 666. On the other screen it reads the numbers 0917 and the time 2:04. Could something be going on September 17th, 2024? I mean, as long as you see it and don't say no, to them it's consent and their hands are clean. I mean, just look at all these images before that big event happened many years ago. But then again, I could just be reaching.
Those are some awesome finds. I haven't seen anyone pick up on those yet either. What it was spelling out before the 666. That was crazy. You know? It's one of those movies where you have to pay attention to every detail. You know what? It's one of those movies where you have to watch twice, at least, just to cover it all, right? It's like that video game. Once you beat it, you want to go back and unlock all the treasures and the DLC packs and stuff like that.
Okay, listen up, please. Do not scroll. Hear me out. And everyone's talking about this QR code in the map, and everyone keeps going to the Shawnee amusement park that's abandoned. It's much deeper than that. Here's how it's deeper and how it's connected to government. I tried posting a video a little while ago, and for some reason the wording on it got messed up, so I'm reposting. I'm trying to make it short and sweet possible. If you have questions, I can do a separate video. And all of this stuff I cannot link because I screenshotted everything that I was reading because I was going through it so fast. So if you want that, I can do a video on that as well. Anyhow, if you go on the Left the World Behind video or the movie, there's a part that shows a map real fast, and you can't really watch it unless you pause it. Once you pause that map, you'll see a small QR code like in West Virginia on the map. If you actually scan that QR code, it takes you to the Shawnee Abandoned Amusement Park. The owners who own that, I don't know if they own it now, but the owners who own that made a amusement park, I think like in the 1900s somewhere, and about 2 or 3 or like 6 kids had died, and it's really long, but you can get into it and read it. They say that the land's cursed and that's why those children died. And in the long run here, the reason why it's cursed is because the land was owned by the Shawnee Indians, and there's hundreds of thousands of them. There's even burials of like 300,000 or so on that land itself. And if you go farther than that, it talks about Mitchell Clay and his family and how they were massacred, and it was because of the Shawnee Indians and so forth. It's not just because of that. In the movie, there is a clip, and it's where I can't remember his name. Kevin Bacon is a conspiracy theorist, and he has medicine, and they're arguing back and forth about the medicine for the one guy's son. If you remember that part where he makes a comment, someone makes a comment, I can't remember who it was, about there being a civil war, that is the word, the key word, remember that. There's also a movie coming out in April 2024 about civil war here in the United States. Remember these words. The third part that is connected to this and how it puts this whole thing together is in West Virginia, the Shawnee Indians were there for centuries. They were like the first ones there, and Mitchell Clay's family was the very first, his family was the very first white man family to set foot on that part of West Virginia and to make it farmland and to live there. Of course, government was involved because he was part of the politician group. He was in politics. All of this is related to politics and how government has been involved with all of this. This key message is going to relate back how Civil War is connected to today's time and what we are going through and what possibly may happen in the future. Long story short, and I'll make it very, very short, so it's going to be probably pieces missing here. But again, if you have questions, comment. Abraham Lincoln is involved in this. Andrew Jackson is involved in this. Slavery and the Confederates all involved in this. I know this is a little off topic, but when I went on my honeymoon this year, we actually traveled to Bramwell, West Virginia, and we went on the four-wheeling ATVing thing. We went through all the Pocahontas trails as much as we could, and there's tons, and it's on top of an old mining facility underground. That mining facility, I think, was owned by the Mitchell Clay family later on and was part of a group with the Mitchell Clay family, and I think it's called the Cleansing Company or something like that. The funny thing is Andrew Jackson was so for cleansing the land of Indians because he did not want Indians on the land. He wanted to completely just take the land from them. Almost like just completely destroying what they had, delete them, get rid of them, like the Holocaust type stuff, and just take over the land for themselves so that economic profit out of cotton fields and farming and slavery. Because human trafficking is the most number one in this entire country here, United States, of making money. Here's how it's connected to today, and this is a secret message. I've heard in the past there's a 4-block yearly something like frame. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's like, I think 50 to 100 years in between or something like that, and I cannot remember what the guy said. But it almost relates to that, and I'll get to that later. When the Civil War happened, of course, the Confederates were part of the Civil War. It was the main thing was because they wanted to nullify federal law. They didn't want federal law taking over everything, telling them what to do and how to do it, okay? That's really what the Confederates were for, on top of course, other things like slavery and all that. I'm not here to argue about it. I'm not here taking sides. I'm just saying the main focus of the Civil War was because they wanted their own state to do what they wanted without federal law involved in telling them what to do, on top of slave ownership and economic stuff with farming and all that. If you look at what caused the Civil War, and I might be missing one thing, but it was Abraham Lincoln he had like 50% of the state against the other 50% because of what he believed in. On top of that, you had economics was making tons of money off the farmland. Then you had the slavery was making tons of money because of the human trafficking between humans without having human rights and other things. If you look at today's time, we are going through the same thing. The saying of history repeats itself is no joke. We have been through this multiple times. If you look at history, not history books from school because they only tell you bits and pieces. If you actually dig into the wars that happened, like Point Pleasant that was involved before the Civil War, that has to do with the Shawnee Indians and the white man and all of that, it is all connected. And on top of that, we have martial law. Let me explain how this is connected to martial law. When me and my husband went on our honeymoon to Bramwell, Virginia, we drove our four-wheelers all the way down, and it's a beautiful spot. It is, I'm going to explain it to you. You'd have to look it up to look at it, and pictures don't do it justice. But if you look at the history on it and how the buildings burnt down, almost all the houses and all the buildings are almost completely gone. The one house is actually connected to the Mitchell Clay family somehow, and I can't remember what it was, but they had that house after the massacre. They lived there for quite a while, and the house had burnt down, so they rebuilt the inside of it, and it's still almost original to this day. The roof and everything's still original, but half of it was redone, if that makes sense. With that being said, when the fire had outbroke, no one to this day still understands how the fire happened or who set it, but the whole town almost burnt down. I think, and as most conspiracy theorists say, it could have been Indians catching stuff on fire. It could have been retaliation of their own people, technically their own white people, whatever you want to call it, against the government and causing rift to get them out of there. But the point is, martial law was instilled there during that time frame because they thought, and again, conspiracy theorists, they thought that the Indians were the ones coming in and destroying. So they wanted to make sure that if they had martial law in place, they could figure out who it was if someone was hiding. And on top of that, control everything else that people go through on a daily basis like they do today. So the message behind all this is history's going to repeat itself. They're telling you to your face. And most people aren't even going to know what I just said to you because they're not going to research it and they're not even going to look into it. I highly suggest you look into Civil War history besides what you've been taught in public school and actually pick up pieces that all connect to our time frame and what we're going through right now.
The reason why I say the QR code, right, to maybe that situation happening is because when the ship came on and crashed into the sand, it had the name White Lion, which is connected to what she's actually talking about. So I feel like it's a strong thesis that she has right there. It's good thinking, critical thinking. So I feel like they want us to connect the puzzles, right? They know what they're doing. It's like the Riddler.
President Barack Obama and Michelle Obama are producers on the film.
They are.
Did they work closely with the film? Yes, this was on President Obama's reading list. He puts out his cool books and cool songs. And so this book was on his list, and he's a big fan of Mr. Robot. And so I think he and Sam, collaborated, with the notes in the beginning and the notes when we were done filming in the post-production. And
was he? Well, imagine him in the editing room. Like, no, if you knocked on the door, I would hide. It's his Airbnb. It's his Airbnb. He can do what he wants. He's allowed to live there. It's his house.
In the book, Rose doesn't end in the bunker watching Friends. The movie ends with Rose finding the neighbor's bunker and, more importantly, a DVD containing the final seasons of Friends. He puts on the series finale with the theme song, I'll Be There For You, plays over the movie's end credits. But in the book, Rose leaves the neighbor's house, gathering supplies from there to bring back to the families. This is an interview with the author of the book asking about the difference between the movie and the book, particularly the Friends ending. And when the author mentions Sam, that's the director. To end with a particular jolt of humor that Sam does is so satisfying and so rewarding. It's sort of a self-reflective because he's a filmmaker. He's also worked in television, and he's sort of asserting something about the power of that medium and its hold over this one character. I say it's funny, but I don't think it's a joke. I don't think it's a joke on Rose. I don't think it's a joke on the audience. I don't think it's a joke on Friends. It's a reminder that art is kind of a salve. The theatrical experience of watching this movie is so powerful because I've had the chance to see audiences respond to the ending 3 times now, and nobody really knows what to make of it. They're like, is this funny? Is this scary? Is it really over? And I love that so much. So they wanted the audience to come up with the answer, to come up with more questions or theories. They didn't want to give it to us. But I would have wanted a little hope at the end that Rose wasn't just forgetting about her family altogether.
That is true. Rose was on it for herself. At the table, eating all the snacks like she had the munchies. Straight glutton. Then she found the DVDs and was like, yo, I'm going to take this next half hour and finish this final episode. Well, maybe she went back after she finished the episode. Maybe it just ended too quick.
No one is talking about this painting on the movie Leave the World Behind. Artist. His book. Any idea on how it could be related with a theory?
I didn't know it was a real painting. And that there was actual artists behind it. Like he had a book or gallery portfolio. Man. That was a good catch. It was a nuclear radiation warning on the Frisbee. That's why I was looking so hard. But it looked like it's written in Hebrew? It's confusing, but how would you be able to catch that? Wow.
I just discovered another Easter egg in the movie Leave the World Behind that I haven't heard anybody else talking about. Now, again, this will be a spoiler alert, so if you haven't seen the movie, go watch that first, then come back here. At the end of the movie, when Rose was making her way down inside of the bunker, when she goes to turn on the light switch, you see the word Commodus on the wall. Commodus was the Roman emperor from the years 177 through 192, all the way up until he was unalived. The death of Commodus is commonly known to mark the end of the golden age of peace and prosperity for the Roman Empire. The death of Commodus also sparked a civil war that lasted for 4 years. The American Civil War began in April 1861. In April of 2024, we now have a new movie coming out called Civil War that entails the fall of the American Empire. So what are they trying to tell us in the movie Leave the World Behind? Leave the World Behind is about the fall of America. And then at the end of the movie, you have the word Commodus, who's associated with the fall of the Roman Empire and the outbreak of a civil war. And now you have this new movie coming out, Civil War, right around the time of the anniversary of the American Civil War? I mean, what are the odds of all of these events correlating and coming together right now? After Rose turns on the lights to the bunker, you see a painting above the table. The painting is of the petroglyphs of the newspaper rock found in Utah. Newspaper rock dates back to about 2,000 years ago. It is a 200 square foot rock covered in Native American carvings called petroglyphs, which is a primitive form of communication. So are they telling us we are about to go back to having to write in a primitive form of communication? So you have a movie, Leave the World Behind, about communication going down. You have a movie called Civil War that's coming out right around the anniversary of our Civil War in America. And you have this painting that's referring to a primitive form of communication. What does all this mean? What are they trying to tell us, people? Leave a comment and let me know.
Yo, every time I think I found them all, there's another one. Another one. Yo, that was crazy because it pretty much lines up with what the lady before was talking about. Like, to the T, but he didn't mention, he noticed and mentioned the Commodus. Like, what the? It's like every painting, it's like every single detail had a meaning. It's like, damn, none of them seem good. Did y'all catch this one? Let me know in the comments down below.
Here are hidden messages in the movie Leave the World Behind. Spoiler alert. First is the changing artwork. As you can see behind the bed, the waters are calm and still. But as it progresses, it becomes more turbulent. As you can see here, this symbolizes that still waters will be no more in the future to come. Next is this photo, which appears to be like radio waves or signals that changes to this and then eventually looks like this, reinforcing that our signals are going to be interrupted. Then we also have this artwork right here, which is eyes on a painting by a painter named Barthélemy Togo. The same artist also had an exhibition called Craving for Humanity, where his designs speak to the upheavals of the world, such as wars, famine, and abuse of powers. Next is this scene from above, which appears to look like a power button, signifying turn the power off. Next we have this pamphlet, which translates into Death to America, in what appears to be of Islamic origin. To add to that, let's not forget that the author, Rumaan Alam, is Islamic, and Mahershala Ali is also Islamic. And this was done cleverly to show who the message and warning is coming from. Lastly, I'll touch on what was seen while traveling. We see Fort Morse Road and Point Comfort, exit 76. Fort Morse was a free black settlement during slavery. This movie had a lot of references to race, which I would have to do a whole nother video for. So get in the comments if you want me to touch on that. Point Comfort was the irony of them actually leaving the city to come to the island to get out of their comfort zone, and how what's to come is going to also get them out their comfort zone. Exit 76 has to deal with the year the United States was established. The White Line, which also touches on the racial aspects of this movie, was a ship that brought the first African slaves to the colony of Virginia. We see the Huxleys, which is a reference to Aldous Huxley, the author of A Brave New World. And we also have the registration, which is 1222. Some speculate it's predicting a date. Others say it's nothing at all. I'll let you decide. I'll finish this off by explaining the ending, which most people hated. The little girl you just saw was obsessed with Friends and wanted to watch the last episode called The Last One. Not to mention that Matthew Perry used to date Julia Roberts, and he coincidentally passed away on her birthday. So basically, his ending marks her new beginning with this movie. And that is what the ending was all about. The end of the world as we know it, and a new one trying to survive. Once seen, it can't be unseen. And in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king.
In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. Talk about gems. Boy. Once again, just when I thought there wasn't any more, there were more. Exit 76. Mount Pleasant. Bro, the connection to a free slave settlement 1976. Yo, my mind is boom. Like, I wouldn't think they would go that far, but when you look at who the executive producer is, this man is the Riddler of our time. I tip my hat to the producer, straight up, both of them. I straight up tip my hat. So I was like, there ain't no way no film could be that deep of a dive. That's crazy. Highly impressed. So impressed. I think this made it up that list to top 5 movies of all time in my book. Let me know what you think down below.
What's up, y'all? This Diddy stuff is moving so fast we can't even keep up with it. Person by the name of Jonathan Odie, who is trending like mad. This person was interrogated, obviously, some years ago for a crime that he had committed, and he began to share specific and pertinent information about Diddy and Cassie. He was their sex worker, according to Odie, on this video, which looks to be very legit. Now, the interesting thing about it is he shed some light on the hip-hop culture, as well as artists like Rick Ross and DJ Khaled. He has some very mind-blowing news.
Looks like there's some more leaks. Once again, just like Leave the World Behind. Just when you think there's no more, it can't go no further, there's more. Yeah, this is definitely becoming a rabbit hole and a conspiracy of its own. It's starting to grasp its own legs, if I may say. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Yeah, we definitely going down this one. We're gonna see what this is about.
Ace and Ross, which they good buddies, okay? They're gay.
Who?
Both. Diddy and Ross. And Khaled. They're all gay, okay?
DJ Khaled, Rick Ross, and P. Diddy?
Yeah.
They all gay?
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right.
Khaled is a Hamas supporter. Okay?
Who supporter?
Hamas.
Hamas. Yeah. Gotcha.
Sorry, I said it wrong.
No worries.
Hamas supporter, okay?
Right.
I had sex with Cassie and Sean. Basically, he would masturbate and tell me what to do with Cassie. I had like 15 encounters, and I heard a lot.
Hidden in plain sight.
It's hidden.
I think I see what you're saying.
Okay, how do I know this?
Yeah, that's what I want to know. How do you know this?
Do you know Sean Combs?
Puff Daddy?
Yeah.
P. Diddy, whatever you call himself these days. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, he's part of what's called the Boule. The Boule is a branch of the Illuminati.
Okay.
It's the black people. Okay. I'm from Africa, so I'm not a racist. Okay. You're my brother, so I like black people.
Okay.
My mom, I was raised by an African woman in my house. Okay. She was just a servant, but she was she took care of me.
Right.
So I love black people.
Okay.
I had settlement with Sean. Okay. Against Donald Trump. Okay, because he used to belong to their side. You understand? He used to belong to that illuminated group that I told you about, which is an elite group, okay, of individuals which run the whole country. All right. Basically, what I did you tell him did you explain to him about the message? Or
Please elaborate.
On Thursday, turning to Friday, basically, I went to Donald Trump. I went through the gates. I took I jumped the fence and I took the American flag and I put in the...
Yo, it sounded like he was about to spill the beans. So, this dude is the Trump Doral shooter. The man who went into one of Trump's establishments and started shooting up the place. How he connects to Diddy, I think this is what we're finding out. This shit is crazy.
The man you see here is about to expose Cassie's recent Diddy allegations. The only catch is, he's just been arrested for shooting up a Trump hotel. As Jonathan Odin faces a police interrogation, doubts already surround his mental state.
Do you know Sean Combs?
So when he makes the following remarks,
they all
it only seems to confirm their suspicions.
Now, how do you know this?
I had with Cassie and Sean.
Puff Daddy.
Basically, he would masturbate and tell me what to do with Cassie.
Did you hear that?
I had sex with Cassie and Sean.
He's just claimed to have had relations with Cassie, whilst being directed by self-pleasing Diddy.
How can we get a tape of this?
Now, this probably isn't a shock to you, as it mirrors the exact claims recently made by Cassie. However, there is a glaring difference. Jonathan Oden's interrogation took place in 2018, a full 5 years before Cassie even came forward.
I feel like that dude on the red carpet asked, how can we get a tape of this? A tape? Why would you ask him down the red carpet? Maybe I'm tripping. Maybe I heard it wrong. Let me know in the comments down below.
Hey, what's up, guys? How y'all doing today? Well, baby, if you've been watching my channel, you know we did an amazing live last night when we broke down this interview with Diddy's male blank worker. However, I know some of y'all are just waking up and y'all just want the tea straight. So, baby, we are posting the full, uninterrupted 10-minute video where this man, right, Jonathan Odie, baby, Google him. He is legit. Jonathan Odie, a former blank worker, a former escort, a former, well, actually a former same person, because if you guys don't know, the full video basically outlines him making shocking claims against Diddy and Cassie. Okay? They are shocking claims. We're about to get into it. The video will be uninterrupted, but you can meet me after the jump because I have some more information on him. If you guys want a longer video, or if you guys are cleaning the house or just like podcast like style, I did an amazing live last night. Baby, it's for a full hour. It'll give you what you need. We discuss everything. But let's get into this mess. Just to let you know, little background on Jonathan Odie. He has been confirmed to be who he says he is. On top of that, okay, it is said that he sued P. Diddy and was paid a substantial settlement. There is information to corroborate that. We go over it in the live. On top of that, this is the most chilling thing of the video, and I want you to keep this in mind. He says a lot of things that corroborates what Cassie said in her complaint, right? A lot of people are like, what's the big deal? Like, anybody could have just read Cassie's complaint or out of this, that, and the third, except for the fact that Cassie's complaint was filed in 2023. This man, Mr. Jonathan Odie, okay? This was from my police interview in 2017. He's referring to things that happened in 2014. Unless he can predict the future, baby, somebody explain why this is happening, which I believe leads to his credibility. Before I show the uninterrupted clip, the full video link is going to be in the description box, in the bio box. I do just want to say this. None of this has been independently verified. While we can verify that Diddy and Cassie were basically living in Miami during the years that Mr. Odie was working as an entertainer for the Dancing Bear in South Florida, okay, and an escort in South Florida, that can be independently verified. It can also be independently verified that Mr. Odie was driven crazy. Well, he claims he was driven crazy from this. That is why he is wearing a hospital gown, because this is a police interrogation, because he literally one day just committed this crazy crime. Again, back then everybody thought he was crazy. But now when you listen to what he says and combine it with what Cassie wrote, I don't know, maybe there's more. We can also say, again, just to let you guys know, this information is brought to me based on information and upon belief. It has not been third-party verified. Sean Diddy Combs does maintain his innocence. He says these are all lies. He is fighting for his reputation, his name, and of course, regaining his social status and industry status. Okay. He has not been into a court of law. He looks forward to defending himself in a court of law. Like he says, enough is enough. That said, let's see what the streets are saying. No, matter of fact, let's see what Jonathan Odie is saying. The only male blank worker that claims to have been with Diddy and Cassie that has come forward. But you guys, this is an actual police interrogation where he starts talking about Diddy Cassie and the relationship. All right, let's get to the video, and I'll meet y'all after the jump. All right. Oh, I'm not leaving. I'll meet y'all after the jump. Bye.
Yeah, that was part one. Shout out to Tissa Tells. Hope I'm not pronouncing it wrong. Sorry if I do. But yeah, pretty much about to show the whole interrogation. I couldn't find it nowhere else in its entirety. Luckily, she was the one who's been putting it out. So we're gonna see what's up with this Jonathan Oddie and see what he's saying. Cause this shit is crazy.
Okay? And he belongs to that agenda. That's why he's so famous. They land all the contracts. It's his attorneys, which are Mark Geragos and Ben Mercedes. Ben Mercedes worked for Bad Boy Entertainment for 4 years and worked for Hillary Rodman for 5. Okay? When I take Sean the threat of death on me, okay? I don't have it, but I can make it available under secrecy. That means that I wouldn't be liable because I don't want to be getting blamed for anything, okay? I had sex with Cassie and Sean. Basically, he would tell me what to do with Cassie. I had like 15 encounters, and I heard a lot of business. Because what they would do is Sean talks a lot on the phone and on the TV with speakers and stuff, and I was like a slave, okay? For them, that's what I was. That's all. Alright? I caught herpes, and I came back and I sued him for the herpes and won. But Mark Geragos and Ben Mercedes were his attorneys, okay? And Christopher Leons here was my attorney. They asked me to turn in that, which was the video recording, and I did so. They gave it back to me accidentally, and it's possible I threw everything out. It's possible I can produce a copy.
Gotcha.
It's possible. I'm not sure.
Now tell me though how all of that led up to Thursday night, Friday morning.
Well, I've been trying. My settlement put me in a box. Basically, I couldn't talk because I was going to be sued. So I let it be, but they've been following me, and they've had, Mark Geragos has had the FBI on me, has had other agencies looking at me and spying on me, okay, because they want to set me up as an extortionist, like if I was extorting Sean for money. It's wrong. Basically what happened is Diddy and Ross, which are good buddies, okay, they're gay.
Who?
Both. Diddy and Ross. And Khaled. They're all gay. Okay?
DJ Khaled, Rick Ross, and P. Diddy?
Yeah.
They all gay?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
The Ciroc agenda, okay, is basically binge drinking poured out on a yacht. They promote binge drinking and drugs.
Gotcha.
The hip hop agenda, basically what happens is the following. The hip hop agenda is an agenda to move drugs all over the United States. They move, you need to inform the DEA. They move all the dope, okay, all the dope on private jets, which don't get screened by
customs,
by the inside the United States. Okay, they move what's called high grade powder MA. They move cocaine and they move liquid cocaine in the bottles too. Okay, so they put the liquid cocaine in the bottles and they move it. I seen the liquor coat, I drank it myself, having sex with Diddy and Cassie. Okay, it's not good. He drinks it all the time. Alright, he calls it Gigi. That's liquor cocaine.
I get all of that.
You're gonna need an internet so I can show you. If I show you the website, you're just gonna go like, oh.
Alright, help me understand you. How old are you?
I'm 42. I've been through all my life.
Thinking back on part 1, I forgot to mention this dude was a part of Dancing Bear. That's one of those, how you say it, bachelorette parties, right? Like they wear the bear on their head and shit. That's crazy. Yeah. If you know about them parties, you know. If you don't, you don't. Google it. That's crazy. So there's a lot of interconnections going on right here. Never know, you might have seen them in action.
A great life. I've settled $4.125 million with Diddy. Okay, but he's scared that I was gonna expose him.
I don't want to talk about Diddy right now. I want to talk about you. Help me. Before you go, what is everything? What did you, when you say you threw away everything, what's that?
My documents, everything I have, because I know they've been trying to follow me. And I just don't want, he's gotten shot at by them. And he's a witness that Ross came and threatened me at my house, post-settlement. After we settled, Diddy sent Ross, and I asked him to go see if that was Ross and confirm his identity.
So Gonzalez, he can back up what you're saying about P. Diddy and Ross and all that? Okay, all right. And you said Gonzalez didn't know anything about what you did? You didn't talk to him before?
Nothing.
Nothing? Okay.
He knows nothing. He was actually worried about me. He's like, hey, what's up? And I told him, look, man, what's happening is he's trying to cool things down, but then the feds have been harassing him. The feds. They have a big file of me like this, the feds. Since because P. Diddy and Mark Garagos have been trying to set me up and lock me up as an extortionist, asking for money. It was not so. My settlement was breach, and my settlement terms is one was called peaceful enjoyment. That means that if I went to your house or I did something, you'd have to pay me the full amount back and forth.
I get all that.
So I've been going through that since like 2012 still.
All right, and Gonzalez knows about that? You talked to him about that kind of stuff?
I talked to him alone because he's the only one that knows since the beginning. Gotcha. And then my ex-wife, she knows, she saw the contract. She has a contract, a picture of the contract. Against Donald Trump, okay, because he used to belong to their side. You understand? He used to belong to that illuminated group that I told you about, which is an elite group, okay, of individuals which run the whole country. Alright?
Alright.
Basically, what I did you tell him did you explain to him about the message? Or
please, elaborate.
On Thursday, turning to Friday, basically, why? Because they want the United States, the corruption from the system. He's letting them stay due to money, basically. Because they all like making money. That's why they're all billionaires, etc. So there's only there's select few that run the country, okay? So, I know you may or may not, I know you're gonna believe me. You have what's called the Illuminati.
Illuminati.
Okay. Yeah, Illuminati. Okay. They've made it in dance. Basically, what it means, illuminated.
I guess.
Okay. They do satanic ritual abuse, which is basically CIA mind programming techniques to their own families, etc. in the group, and they bond that way. The Illuminati card games. Example, okay? You look at the game, the Illuminati card game?
I'm not familiar with it, so help me understand.
It's a card.
It's a card game.
That tells you exactly what their agenda is.
Gotcha.
It's called mental pre-program. That means that you predispose already. Once you play this, your mind is already predisposed at this happening. Not like a hidden agenda, which they try to make it open to our eyes, but we really don't see it. We're so busy working.
It's kind of like hidden in plain sight.
It's hidden.
I think I see what you're saying.
Okay, how do I know this?
Yeah, that's what I want to know. How do you know this?
Do you know Sean Combs?
Puff Daddy?
Yeah.
P. Diddy, whatever you call himself these days. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, he's part of what's called the Boule. The Boule is a branch of the Illuminati.
Okay.
It's the black people. Okay. I'm from Africa, so I'm not a racist.
Okay.
Okay, you're my brother, so I like black people.
Okay.
My mom, I was raised by an African woman in my house. Okay. She was just a servant, but she was she took care of me.
Right.
So I love black people. Okay.
Yeah, once again, shout outs to Tisa Tells. But yeah, man, this guy right here has been connected to a lot of things. I think that's what makes his story a rabbit hole in itself. Hence why I'm covering it, right? Let me know in the comments down below what y'all think about this. Do you think it's all tied together, or do you think it's just one big coincidence?
Ain't no way everyone here is a real person. Life is a simulation, and a legitimate professor has proved it. James Gates, a theoretical physicist at MIT with 2 bachelor degrees and a PhD, found literal computer code embedded in the most fundamental building blocks of reality, called strings. Now, string theory is a tough one, but I'm gonna break it down for you in a way that an 11-year-old would understand. So if you don't get this, hey, go back to grade 5, bro. Alright, so we got my boy Einstein's theory of general relativity, which is basically just a theory of everything big. Planets, gravity, the universe, all the way back to the Big Bang. Then we got the new kid in town, quantum physics. This is the theory of everything small, like particles, atoms, and molecules, where the general laws of physics like gravity don't apply anymore. The same is true the other way around. Quantum laws don't apply to regular-sized physics. So we got general relativity, everything big, and quantum physics, everything small. Like, yo, dig. But both of these realms have the same parent, the Big Bang, at which point everything that is now big used to be small. If the small can become big, then quantum and general relativity need some sort of theory that can unify them. That is string theory. What happens to the big when it's small? What happens when you zoom into an atom? You see protons and neutrons in the center with electrons all around it. Now, what about inside a neutron? Even smaller particles called quarks. So how deep does the scale go? Conventional science will tell you there's nothing inside these quarks. But string theory suggests there's a tiny filament or a string of pure energy that exists inside of them. And just like the string of a guitar vibrates and creates different sound based on its shape and tension, the strings in string theory vibrate. But instead of sound, they produce matter in the form of particles. This completely changes the way you look at the world. Every particle in the universe is just a string vibrating at a different frequency, and every vibrational pattern has its own associated particle. So if you break anything down far enough, we're all just energy vibrating at differing wavelengths to form matter. Although it's still just a theory, this would link general relativity to the quantum realm and form what is known as the theory of everything. Okay, yeah, cool. Now where is this computer code found? When Dr. James Gates took a look at a set of equations derived from string theory, he found binary code. Error-correcting code used for compressing data on a computer. A sequence of ones and zeros, the same code that is used by popular search engines, which, according to him, who has a PhD in theoretical physics from MIT, doesn't just resemble computer code, it literally is computer code. Meaning, if we break matter and energy down far enough, we eventually find compressing computer code etched into the very fabric of reality. So, who wrote this code? Are we living in, dare I say, a simulation?
Definitely gonna have to look into Dr. James Gates and his work. This is my first time hearing about string theory, so it's definitely a whole new rabbit hole, y'all. Let me know if y'all heard it before. It's my first time.
Professor James Gates retired from the University of Maryland in 2017, but not before making a pretty big impact within the scientific community. Let's hear what he has to say about the nature of our physical reality.
So where has this pursuit taken you?
Oh my God.
Where have you landed?
Why would you ask that?
I'm asking that here and now. It's New York City. It's March 7th.
Well, partly it's taken to these very strange images that are behind your head right now. These are pictures of equations. I've been, for the last 15 years, trying to answer the kinds of questions that my colleagues here have been raising. And what I've come to understand is that there are these incredible pictures that contain all the information of a set of equations that are related to string theory. And it's even more bizarre than that, because when you then try to understand these pictures, you find out that buried in them are computer codes just like the type that you find in a browser when you go surf the web. And so I'm left with the puzzle of trying to figure out whether I live in the Matrix or not.
Wait, you're blowing my mind at this moment. So you're saying, are you saying your attempt to understand the fundamental operations of nature leads you to a set of equations that are indistinguishable from the equations that drive search engines and browsers on our computers?
That is correct. So,
wait, I have to just be silent for a minute here. So you're saying as you dig deeper, you find computer code writ in the fabric of the cosmos?
Into the equations that we want to use to describe the cosmos, yes.
Computer code?
Computer code, strings of bits of ones and zeros.
It's not just sort of resembles computer code, you're saying it is computer code.
It's not even just is computer code, it's a special kind of computer code that was invented by a scientist named Claude Shannon in the 1940s. That's what we find very, very deeply inside the equations that occur in string theory and in general in systems that we can say are supersymmetric.
Okay. Time to go home, I think. Where are we going to go at? So are you saying we are all just, there's some entity that programmed the universe and we're just expressions of their code?
Well, I didn't say that. Some of those
like the Matrix? That's what you said.
Some of those codes are showing on the screen behind you right now. They don't look like codes, but these pictures, which we call adinkras, are graphical representations of sets of equations that are based on codes. So this is, in fact, to answer your question more directly, I have in my life come to a very strange place because I never expected that the movie The Matrix might be an accurate representation of the place in which I live.
While Professor Gates does not openly acknowledge that we live in a simulation, it's the only conclusion that can be drawn if computer code underlies our physical universe. Professor Gates' information is consistent with MIT professor Seth Lloyd's information. Professor Lloyd regards the universe as a giant quantum computer. Let's listen to Dr. Lloyd describe this concept in his own words.
Yeah, well, so I've argued that the universe is effectively a quantum computer. In fact, not even effectively, actually is a quantum computer. And actually, this is something, in some sense, it shouldn't be controversial because, first of all, we know that the laws of physics support computation. We know this, we don't have to prove it because I actually possess a computer, right? And then we actually also know that the laws of physics support quantum computation, so computation at the most microscopic level performed by elementary particles. And again, I don't have to prove it because I own a quantum computer, right? And here at IQC, you have vast laboratory space chock full of quantum computers. So, the fact that the universe at bottom is processing information, computing in a uniquely quantum mechanical way is in some sense uncontroversial. Though, when I make this argument, it always seems to cause controversy, so I don't know why this is so. But
couple that with the complexity and geometry found all around us within nature, and it becomes clear that we live in a calculated...
And that's a wrap. I hope you enjoyed tonight's rabbit hole. And if you haven't already, please take a second just to smash that like, subscribe, ring that notification bell, just to make sure the algorithm know what's up. Cause what we gonna do, y'all? That's right. Run these numbers up. Thanks again. Until next time.